DL Hughley just called out 50 Cent after 50 posted on Instagram about leaving New York following Zohran Mamdani's election win. DL said he's tired of wealthy people like 50 acting as if they're being unfairly targeted and trying to avoid contributing their share, while pretending they're not part of the larger issue. Mamdani is pushing to make New York more affordable, but 50 is behaving as if a small 2% tax increase will somehow damage the entire city.
We raise $10 billion to pay for our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city because we know he'll use federal funding as leverage over this city. And we will do so in two key ways. The first is to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25%. They're at 11.5%. Corporations can pay it over there, they can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York City. Because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. We're talking about corporations that are making millions of dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually getting taxed.
Mamdani's campaign focused on making New York more affordable by raising taxes on high-income earners. And if there's anyone who dislikes paying taxes, it's 50 Cent. He moved out of New York years ago, saying the city had become too expensive. Yet it's interesting that he's still unwilling to contribute if it helps make the place he grew up in more accessible for others. Wealthy individuals receive massive tax breaks worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but the moment someone pushes policies aimed at supporting the middle class, they're suddenly labeled as extreme. After hearing about Mamdani's proposal to increase taxes by just 2%, 50 reacted on Instagram saying, "Where did he come from? Whose friend is this? I'm not feeling this plan. I will give him $258,750 and a first-class one-way ticket away from NY."
You have spoken about these financial plans you have, and you made a point on New York radio, which a lot of people listen to address 50 Cent. And you know he's a critic.
He's a critic
of high taxes.
But let me just
go ahead, and then we'll play it. Go ahead.
I didn't even know what my salary would be until I opened up Instagram and I saw this thing, which was like 50 Cent offers Mamdani X amount of money.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a very specific amount of money. And I was like, oh my God,
so now we'll do this in reverse order.
Sorry.
He said, I'll give you $258,000 and a first-class one-way ticket out of New York. That's what you're referencing to him now, and by the way, he has moved out of the city.
Yeah.
But he's a classic New Yorker. I'm sure you like some of his songs.
Oh, man. It's actually tough for me in that way.
So where does this debate go?
Incredible songs.
Because his argument, and it's fun, but it's also what we hear from certain people. His argument is, there are a lot of people in New York who make a lot of money because they contribute a lot, and you're going after them. What do you say to him tonight?
You know, what I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. And the reason I say including their own is when you see a city like ours that is underfunding its city agencies, that is pulling back on the most basic things like library services and trash cans, everybody feels the knock-on effects of that. And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men.
50 brought up this interview again in another Instagram post, saying, "I believe he means well, but his tax plan will drive major investors out of the city. And if he cuts police funding, things could get out of control." Later, once Mamdani actually won, 50 shared another post. Picture of a tombstone with the words RIP NYC with the city's death date as 2025. Zohran, meanwhile, continued expressing how much he admired 50 Cent and even mentioned one of 50's songs as one of his all-time favorites.
If you had to choose, which 3 pop songs best emulate your campaign?
Okay. Hate it or love it. Gotta put that one in there. Right above it as well. Shout outs Taylor Swift, Only the Young.
That's an excellent lineup.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zohran.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure.
Fans heavily criticized 50 after seeing how he reacted to the possibility of paying additional taxes, with many calling him a sellout. Instead of helping make New York more affordable for the people who actually live there, they argued he'd rather distance himself from the community than contribute a little more. One fan commented, 50 is losing credibility and respect by complaining nonstop. Another wrote, 50 profits from the struggles in his own community. And of course, DL Hughley had his own thoughts as well.
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, a 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding, is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining in America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
DL, who openly supports Mamdani, said this is the first time in a long while that voters are choosing someone they genuinely believe in instead of picking the lesser of two bad options. He even congratulated Mamdani on the victory, noting that New York needs a leader who actually cares about the city and wants to improve it.
Congratulations to Zohran Mamdani. I think that it is very interesting to me what the people who are opposed to him were trying to say, that he's a socialist, that he would ruin the city, and that we have had people that have been actual racists that were elected officials, or rapists that were elected officials, or pedophiles that have been elected officials, or frauds that have been elected officials. But all of a sudden, a man could ruin the city because of the book he reads from and the God he worships. I'm glad that New York has made a decision to go with the person who they thought would invest in them. I'm glad that they made a decision to try something new. We already know what the old looks like. We already know, and I actually, I like Cuomo. I love Chris Cuomo. We're very good friends, but I'm very happy that New York is taking a chance on someone who just says they want to do the best for the people they serve. Because I think that now, in our experience with elected officials, they mostly try to serve themselves. Now, I don't know if he'll be successful or not, but I do know this. I know that people are excited, and I know it's nice to have somebody excited without without the fear of something bad, but the hope that something good might happen. So, and I think generally, the harder the name is to pronounce, the better they're gonna do.
Many wealthy individuals are upset about Mamdani's win. They spent tens of millions trying to block his campaign, but ultimately failed because trust isn't something you can purchase. People believed in Mamdani, and that's why he came out on top.
Despite the billionaire bucks that were flowing into the anti-Mamdani campaign, he won pretty handily against Andrew Cuomo, which 5 minutes ago, the Republican Party was telling us he was unbelievably corrupt, that he should be in prison. And all of a sudden, it was our duty to get the word out, to get people to vote for Cuomo somehow again. Bill Ackman almost personally ran against Mamdani, right? Bill gave $1.75 million. Michael Bloomberg also gave money to a Cuomo-affiliated super PAC. He gave $8.3 million to stop Mamdani, and it didn't matter. The Airbnb co-founder, Joseph Gebbia, gave $3.1 million. It didn't matter. The Tisch family gave $1.2 million. It didn't matter. Still, Mamdani won. Why? Okay, if we're being honest, he probably won during the first mayoral debate.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first?
I would visit the Holy Land.
I would go to Israel.
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies.
My first trip to Israel, my wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family, and it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
No,
as a state with equal right.
Whoopi Goldberg was another millionaire who opposed the mayor-elect. After his win, she shared her reaction publicly.
In everybody's term.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for. And hopefully they won't have won and then become people who are not listening anymore. This is where we come in. We must remind everybody who won what their job is supposed to be and why you voted for them. And when it's not happening, it is our right as New Yorkers, as Americans, to say what is happening. I gave you my vote.
Celebrities, including Mark Ruffalo and Lupita Nyong'o, who had publicly supported Mamdani's campaign, celebrated his win on social media, as Rachel Ziegler, Lauren Jauregui, Chelsea Handler, Spike Lee, Emily Ratajkowski, and more also shared their...
This also isn't the first time 50 has tried to avoid taxes. During the Biden administration, he claimed he was being hit with a 62% tax rate. In reality, the situation was very different. Since most of 50's income comes from investments and business holdings, he pays very little tax, often using his shares as collateral to secure credit. Instead, tax concerns are ultimately what pushed him to move to Texas.
Headlines tell the story. It says 50 Cent bashes Biden tax plan, endorses Trump, and on down the line. We all know what's happened since then. But give it to us straight here on the news. Were you endorsing Donald Trump? What were you getting at then?
His tax plan, I didn't realize I would be paying 62% of my income back to the IRS. So that does change a lot. New York City will change dramatically. Like, they're going to end up moving to different territories. You look at all the Silicon Valley is now in Austin, Texas. So you'll start to see people moving from these places to new places that make sense for them to hold on to just what they're earning, not to, to have it just taken from them by the government.
I got one more question on this before we get to BMF, which is fast forward to nowadays, and Joe Biden is president, and he is talking about raising certain taxes. Take a listen.
Pay your fair share, just like middle-class folks do. Trickle-down economics has never worked, and it's time to grow the economy from the bottom and the middle out.
That's the argument. That's the substance of why he says it's necessary. What's your response to that today, now that he's president?
No. When you just tell an individual that you're going to not keep 62% of your earnings because you live in this area, I don't like New York City that much. I don't like the people enough to stay. I'm moving, all right? I'm going to Texas. I got me a cowboy hat, everything. And you look, everything's bigger in Texas. It's really beautiful people. It's nice people.
50 is just one of many wealthy figures who have tried to push back against Mamdani. Elon Musk publicly supported Andrew Cuomo, who was running against Mamdani, despite Cuomo facing multiple sexual assault allegations. These high-profile individuals don't seem concerned about broader issues as long as they can avoid paying taxes. Notably, Cuomo granted roughly $1 billion in tax breaks to wealthy elites, which may explain why Elon keeps calling Mamdani a scammer. But when asked to clarify why he believes that, he never provides a real answer.
One of the things that I looked at the other day was mainstream media coverage of you, Trump, a bunch of different public figures, and then
it's like
Mamdani.
96% negative or something crazy.
Yeah. And then Mamdani, which is like 95% positive.
Right. I mean, Mamdani is a charismatic swindler. I mean, you got to hand it to him. Like he can light up a stage, but he has just been a swindler his entire life.
Say Mamdani's a swindler. I know he has a bunch of fake accents that he used to use.
Yeah.
And but what else has he done that makes him a swindler?
Well, I guess if you say if you say to any audience whatever that audience wants to hear, instead of having a consistent message, I would say that is a swindly thing to do. But he is.
Mamdani, on the other hand, offered a clear explanation for why billionaires should face higher taxes, especially considering Elon pays around 3%.
Your democratic socialism has been just the center of everything that people talk about. But in this country, there's a big debate about the wealthy, the uber wealthy, the gap between the rich and the poor. Just this week, Tesla offered a pay package to Elon Musk that would potentially make him a trillionaire. Do you think trillionaires should exist?
I think the better question is whether working people should exist. Because what we're seeing right now is amidst this incredible wealth, we have people who are keeping the city running that have to now live outside of the city, outside of the state. There are New Yorkers who are living in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Connecticut because they just can't afford to live here. Amidst all of that, we have talk of trillionaires. I mean, it tells you where our political priorities are. And that's what is so frustrating, is that when we talk about the cuts to SNAP benefits here in New York City, the throwing of millions off of their health insurance, it's not just a incident that has taken place in Washington, D.C. It is a function of the largest wealth transfer we've ever seen in our history of our country's population.
New York is becoming increasingly unlivable for the people who built the city. And instead of offering solutions, these elites only throw criticism. Ben Shapiro recently commented that if New York is too expensive for someone, they should simply move away.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunity.
DL pointed out what many already felt. These billionaires are just embarrassing themselves. When Zohran mentioned his plan to bring in Lina Khan, the reaction from big tech was immediate. Khan, the former head of the FTC, is widely known for forcing major tech companies to scale back on selling user data. As soon as her name was mentioned, billionaires began panicking online because they understood what it signaled. The era of unchecked power, monopoly influence, and behind-the-scenes deals was coming to a halt.
Wealthy, who might be looking for a therapist after yesterday's election. And more importantly, were looking for therapy when they heard that Lina Khan was joining the transition team.
Which just goes to show you, looking back at the Biden administration, I mean, she had a very important job and we had her on all the time and hung on.
I think we should have her back and talk about what can happen in New York City.
But let's just know. Okay, so as long as we know what, I mean, she is a
but that's what I'm saying.
She was running a very important department in the Biden administration.
Well, no, I wonder what it portends for business in New York. It was funny.
It's great for business. It's awesome.
A number of business leaders in New York reached out to me yesterday. I was traveling back from London, and it wasn't even the election result itself. It was when this Lina Khan announcement was made.
Right.
It was like they were sort of like frozen in place. And talked. I mean, some of the texting and back and forth was more about sort of what had happened to the merger business. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of bankers in this city, financiers in this city, and sort of what the approach is. I don't know if she's going to have a role in the future.
What can she do, though? I mean,
the future group or not?
What my question was, this appears to nationalize a city mayoral staff, right? Instead of saying we're going to operate the city as good managers, which is what the mayor's job is, it somehow makes it seem like we're going to be a platform for some national ideological.
I don't know. I mean, I was also surprised by that there were so many people from the de Blasio administration.
Coming from the FTC, I'm going to be especially focused on things like, how do we make sure that we have a full accounting of all of the laws and authorities that the mayor can unilaterally deploy? I think one thing that was really shocking to me at the FTC was just how much dormant and unused and underused authorities had just been on the books. Like literally Congress had passed laws, sometimes saying things as uncontroversial as, it should be illegal to say your products are made in America when they aren't. And sometimes they had just been ignored by the FTC and not really enforced. So, want to make sure that to the extent that the city has a robust set of laws that the mayor can enforce, that we're going and understanding what is the full authority.
New York is also not the only place where 50 Cent has sought to limit his tax obligations. He is currently investing $50 million in Shreveport and recently met with Mayor Tard Arsenault and Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry to discuss potential tax incentives.
Developing now, during a recent trip to Baton Rouge, Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault and Shreveport's newest big investor, 50 Cent, met with Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry to discuss plans related to a legislative proposal and its potential impact on the film industry here in Shreveport. Now, here's what's in the question. Governor Landry called a special session on tax reform next month, and now many are wondering what that means for the film tax credit. Louisiana's Secretary of Revenue said the film credit would be one of more than 200 sales tax exemptions that may be phased out by next year.
Had a very productive discussion about what that might look like and what might happen if the proposals pass and how that might affect how we would go forward and what might be done as a substitute.
And if you're frustrated with how everyone keeps overlooking New Yorkers while Mamdani is the only one addressing their concerns, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.